No problem. I'll see everybody later. All right, cool. I'm gonna meet everybody. Cool.
No, they weren't actually, and that's kind of why we were kind of waiting.
Then do the Q&A first, and I'll play later. What do you want? Then go ahead. I'm ready. So what do I do? Like a half-hour questions, or whatever? Okay.
And then, I mean, you do what you want. You just, if you want to go right into it, you can. Or if you want
I'd like to just let them know I want to set up the play soon. So just give Chris Mr. Speeds later, right? Okay. And by then, I would think by 2 o'clock, everybody should be here. Maybe I can plan on playing at 2 o'clock. Wait, I got the heat on right there. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them.
That's probably it. There's a conveyor on the
Mr. Bruce Kulick, put together.
Does this work? Yes, it does. Hi. Hello, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming down for us today. I know it's a beautiful day in Indianapolis. And I've been, traveling around the Midwest for the past 2 weeks doing these guitar clinics, promoting myself and talking about my life and Kiss and whatever else anyone is real curious about. So I think because I'm going to need a few minutes later to set up to play, because I do want to play for you guys. I did bring my guitar. But we'll do the Q&A first. Usually we do it the other way around, but whatever. This is all very casual today. I know the Kiss tickets for the summertime are on sale today, so everyone's online in the morning, trying to get that all sorted out. But believe me, you'll be able to get tickets. It'll be fine. But let's take some questions. I mean, I want you to understand, of course. You're doing it. You're walking around and grabbing the people. Okay.
Yeah, if you guys had a question, just raise your hand. I'll come around and you can ask your question to Bruce. I see one over here first.
Is there any future of working with Eric Singer anymore?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was busy.
Is there any future of working with Eric Singer?
Working with Eric. Eric and I are close. I don't want anyone to think just because he hasn't been on my 2 solo records that I don't stay in touch with him and we're not good friends. It just came down, every time I was ready to record my record, he was real busy with Alice Cooper and it just wouldn't work out, but we get together all the time. There's no distance really between us. We live actually pretty close to each other. He's been real successful and real busy, even in the, forget that he played with Kiss again, then he got busy at home playing again with Alice Cooper and going out with Montrose and other people. So he's always real busy, but we're real supportive of each other. So I don't want to ever rule out that we wouldn't jam or play together again or record together again. And there are some other things that haven't been out yet that might come out, of some things that we've done. But we'll see. But I'm sure he sends regards to everybody, Yep. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Are there any plans for any more Union albums or tours or anything like that?
All right, let me update you with Union. Sound guy, I don't need as much of me in the monitor because it's going to feedback a little bit. Just make sure they can hear me. Yeah, it's better. Okay, good. The closest thing I could say about Union is obviously on my new Transformer record, John sings the track, okay? Everybody's off doing their own thing, You know that James and Brent went and played with Vince Neil, and Brent, it's still kind of going to be the drummer in Vince Neil, I believe, even though he hasn't done like every gig religiously. Apparently he took some time off, but he will be touring this summer with them. I'm not so sure about James. John was working with Nikki Sixx. Now I hear he's not working with Nikki Sixx in that new band, and it's real hard to figure all that out. But I've been, my main gig really, and if you guys, I hope there's going to be a Grand Funk Railroad gig somewhere in the Indiana area this year. But it's a terrific group. I have some friends here who've seen us and really dig it. And that's my main thing, so it's very hard for me to also do Union, though I don't want to ever say there'll never be another Union gig or something. And there is a DVD of the band from a lot of different video performances being put together by a guy that I've worked with a lot in the past who was involved in the Eric Carr video, okay? So he's putting that together. He was supposed to really have it done late last year, but his company was bought out and he had new investors and it's expanded much bigger now. And he's doing a lot of really exciting things. So and I'm like a good buddy of his. I've known him from way back, early Kiss days. I've known him like 15 years. So that will come out. So, but it was really hard for Union. I mean, I know that there's fans out there, and I really know the fans got it. And they really appreciated what the band was about. But it was just very hard to continue. I don't want you to think we didn't believe in ourselves. We never got a break. We just couldn't get opening for a major band, you know, to give us the exposure we needed. And we did a little better actually in Argentina and Sweden than in America, you know what I'm saying, going overseas. So it's kind of frustrating, but they really like American rock and roll there. And we get kind of spoiled here, I guess, in the States. Look how young you guys are. That's cool. You know who I am? I was probably in the band longer than your age, okay? Right, well, how old are you, 12? 11? Close? See, I was there 11, 12 years. I got that good. Sorry, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I think it's very sweet that you're here. I like it, believe me. Okay.
Got one back there, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce, this one's a little off the subject, but I was wondering how you feel about the Tommy Thayer doing the Ace Frehley thing, but you not ever having the chance to do the makeup thing with Kiss.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have to admit it. I mean, there's a lot of emotions about that. First of all, I was never asked, although I do understand. I mean, whenever people that you know, either in your personal life or your business life, don't approach you about something, you got to figure, well, if I'm in their shoes, why would they do that? You know what I mean? You got to kind of remove yourself from it, because they know I can play guitar and I can do everything they need. I wasn't, you know, left behind by Kiss because I couldn't cut the gig. It was purely because of the makeup. I mean, Tommy, who I'm a friend, you know, friends with, you know, Tommy, in this way, he had home court advantage. In other words, he was there working for them for the past 6 years as road manager and a guy they could always rely on to be there, help him with, I think he was teaching Ace the guitar parts before the reunion tour. That's something I heard, yeah. Well, you know, Ace didn't do all those songs all those years in Frehley's Comments as a solo artist. And he was already set up in makeup, all ready to go on twice, I think. I know at least once, okay, when Ace almost didn't make the gig. And they weren't going to blow off the gig because Ace missed his flight. You see what I'm saying? So Tommy Thayer also has performed in Cold Gin, which was a very, very good, reputable, years ago. They haven't performed in years, but a really good tribute band, you know. And guess who he was? Ace Frehley, okay. So you follow what I mean here. If you think about from Kiss as a business people, they go like, well, if Ace doesn't want to do this tour, you know, well, but we can give the opportunity to Ace up until the last second, and Tommy would still have a job because he works for the Kiss organization, you know. Or now they covered with a lead guitar player. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like a no-brainer to approach me. Well, I'd have to leave Grand Funk Railroad, who I'm very, very happy about. And I miss Kiss. I don't want you to think I don't, but what guarantee are you going to give me? What about when Ace goes knocking on the door and says, I want to play again? Where am I? You see? So, was I a little bit, like, in an odd way disappointed or felt weird about it? Absolutely. But when I think business-wise about it, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And I know I don't ever want to think of it personally, you know, as something that was done personally against me. You know, and it's kind of, I mean, they never cease to amaze me, continue to amaze. They always shock me with what they do, but there's always like some method to their madness anyway. And I never thought they'd even really attempt to go out there with other people and other people's makeup and just, well, no, he's just a spaceman or he's just a cat man, or, you know, and obviously Gene and Paul will never relinquish their positions. You know that. You know, you're not going to see Spiro, the guy that, you know, become Gene and then they're going to go tour. So, and then of course, you know, yeah, this is it, the farewell tour. You'll never see us again. You know, come see us, because you won't see us again. Well, that's not so true either. Though I know a lot of bands that pull that stunt as well. You know, many bands have done that. I mean, it's too much fun for them to stop, but I just like to see them move forward. I mean, I just don't see them moving forward enough, and that's my biggest disappointment with them. And you know, with Tommy in the band now, maybe not so much with Peter, but they could certainly tackle some of the stuff from Revenge and other records, you know. And who knows, you know, maybe they'll call Eric one day again too. Do I feel left out? Well, in a way, but I really don't, I'm not envious of being Ace Frehley after the 12 years that I did my thing. That's right. So that's basically my take on that whole thing. And believe me, I'm friends with Tommy and I like the guy, and he's always been we've been so respectful to each other. So that's why, you know, no way am I going to, you know, say like, oh, you know, he stinks, or it's a stupid situation. It's just the way Gene and Paul are deciding to carry on and do their business. That's all it is. Okay.
Got one back here, Bruce.
Well, first of all, I assume you never missed a gig when you were with them.
No, I didn't.
Okay, and second of all, tell me about your Grand Funk Railroad. You guys are touring this year? Explain that something.
Yeah, and thanks for asking about Grand Funk, because it's a great band. The fans have showed up. They're really amazed at how many songs they actually didn't realize that they knew from the radio, but they didn't know that was Grand Funk. You know, stuff like Some Kind of Wonderful, Locomotion, I'm Your Captain, and We're an American Band, of course, which a lot of groups cover even. And musically, the group is terrific. We don't tour in the traditional way, like when Kiss announces a tour, you know, they're going to be gone like, 3 months, 4 months, trucks, buses, planes, the whole thing. Grand Funk, our goal is really to do like 40 to 50 gigs in a year, okay, throughout the year. Obviously, the summertime will be the most busiest time because the gigs, we don't want to do clubs, we don't want to really be in theaters much. We want to play these big county and state fairs. It's a family crowd, anybody can come, all ages. And which is great because young people like you guys get to see me do like the Star Spangled Banner or something, and they've never seen Hendrix at Woodstock. You know what I mean? And they don't know a Live 3, let's say even. And they're going, wow, or they don't even know what a lead guitar player is. You know what I mean? Because music has changed sadly so much. So ultimately, the show is really varied with all that great classic rock stuff, and I get a chance to just really shine. I mean, I get a chance to rip. Mark Farner, who was the original guitarist, he was a good guitarist. I mean, I bump it up like quite a few notches in tone and style, but Mark was still like a blues rock guitarist, and Grand Funk started as a heavy metal trio. In fact, predates Kiss by a few years, and is mentioned as an influence from bands like Van Halen, and they toured with Led Zeppelin years ago, got thrown off the tour actually because they were too good. And they sold out Shea Stadium quicker than the Beatles when they were big in 1970. So all that history and the people that come from that world to see Grand Funk, what wasn't they exposed to? They hear about me and they're enjoying what I do, and they go, Kiss? Well, I wasn't a Kiss fan, but I like that guy Bruce, this is cool. And then they're suddenly like checking all that out, And it's funny because the Grand Funk fans, in the same way that the Kiss fans are a certain have a certain drive and a little cult and friendship and network between each other, so do they, and it's incredible how much they do that. So it's really been kind of nice to be exposed to all that, But I love the guys. They're very professional and very, very talented. So I'm very, very fortunate to have that gig because I do get a chance to shine and work in a very stable environment, which in the music business is nearly impossible. Okay, so I'm very fortunate.
How'd you get involved in Grand Funk anyway?
Well, years ago I played with Michael Bolton, of course, and we toured with Bob Seger. This is back in like '83. Were you born yet? I think just about. No, not yet. No. So I forgot. That's 20 years ago almost. Okay, right. So you were born like '94, right? 92. 1. Okay. Can't do my math today. I need a calculator to figure out things. Anyway, the wife of one of the guys in the band. It happened years later, but she wound up marrying Don Brewer, actually, the drummer from Grand Funk. So it was just a simple case of when they were planning this new version of Grand Funk Railroad, her remembering me and knowing what I did in Michael's band, she always respected my guitar playing. I got thrown in the mix, shall I say, And the next thing I know, I get an email from Don, and I don't even really believe it was him. I was like, yeah, right, Don Brewer's emailing me, sure, I said, why don't you call me on my business line on Monday, And so he called, and he mentioned about how, he wants to redo the band, and would you come out and check it out, and we can all jam and sit down and play, and I said, absolutely, So it took me back a minute, I gotta admit, because I was like, oh, now I'm filling in someone else's shoes again, you know what I mean, like the Kiss gig, but it's funny because a lot of friends of mine in the business, or people that I meet and I say, yeah, well, I used to play with Kiss, but I'm with Grand Funk Railroad now, So if they're a Kiss fan, they'd know me right away anyway. But the ones that don't, which means they're not really Kiss fans, go crazy when I say Grand Funk Railroad. Oh, Grand Funk Railroad, love that band. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of funny to have these names in my resume and to see the reaction from certain people and how it varies, of course.
Bruce, I would like to know what was your feelings like when you recorded Dear Friend for Eric Carr, and how was the vibe during recording that particular song?
That's a good question, yeah. On the second Union album, The Blue Room, I wrote a song. I knew I wanted to sing a song on that record because I only sang like a bonus track on the first one. And I remember having this kind of like nice picking part thing that was kind of moody, and I realized, well, this could be something good, I could write this about Eric, and then those lyric ideas started to come up with, the thunder of your drums and things like that, and we toured the world, we saw the world and all that kind of stuff. It was just me and Barb Marlette, the guy who co-produced with us, and it was really emotional, it was. I mean, I felt really sad because the lyrics came straight from my heart, and he was really pleased because he could tell, you know, one thing, I'm never gonna brag and say I'm a great singer because I've worked with some amazing singers, you know, through Kiss and from Michael Bolton and Meatloaf and all these people. But, you know, one very important thing, which is why I'm brave enough to sing on my own records now, is, you know, if you can be emotional, if you can communicate with people, then that's going to work. And he was really pleased. It didn't take that long. I know I thought of the guitar solo to be like a David Gilmour kind of Pink Floyd tone, and that all happened. And I'm real proud of that track. If you don't have the Blue Room record, that's a great song, and you should check that out. I think I might have brought a couple copies to sell over there. Oh, you just bought one. There you go. So now you got it. So, but, you know, we were almost going to do it live when we were gearing up for the tour, and I'm telling you, we tried rehearsing it like, you know, like kind of maybe once, and I was just like, I just looked at the lyrics and you know, it was just like, I don't think I could do it, you know what I mean? I just didn't feel comfortable, and I said, let's do I Walk Alone, you know what I mean? And, you know, because the last thing I want to do is start getting choked up on stage, you know, because the lyrics were that real for me, you know, so yeah, I miss him a lot, of course, you know. Eric was, you know, a good friend of mine, and it's very sad what happened, of course. Yeah.
Bruce,
yes.
in the years when you were touring with them, were there ever songs that you were just dying to play and you really wanted to play live, and they just kind of said, nah, we're not going to do that?
Well, you know, when we first started doing Unplugged, you know, the casual Unplugged things across the Kiss conventions, that's when they started pulling out these songs. Some of them I never even heard. I said, why didn't we ever do that? Like, I used to love a lot of Paul's solo record. You know, I wasn't that familiar with Gene's, you know, but I can't like speak for one, but I remember I was very happy when we started to learn 100,000 Years, because I always thought that was a great song, and we should have done it way back, you know. And then, of course, the Unplugged stuff made us look at songs that we never, I knew of, but I never thought could work so well like that. So that's why I think that, even though it was like, excuse me, Unplugged was my last gig with the band, technically, some of the material was really interesting, you know, because it was a really big, broad span of the years, if you think about it, from doing some of those songs we never did electric, so now we're doing them acoustic, you know, from Plasticaster, and what's the first song on Unplugged? I forget. Coming Home. Love that song. I thought that, you know, and I wish, I don't know if it ever would have worked live, you know, in an electric setting, but man, was it perfect when we got into the groove for Unplugged to do that. So.
Being played that live.
Oh yeah.
You know, really, we found it was like right before that came out.
Right. Yeah. But you know, and another side note to that is just stuff like I never heard the love theme to Kiss until, you know, the Unplugged conventions. I'm like, what are you guys playing? What is that? You know, because that's kind of a weird piece, you know. I'm glad we didn't have to learn that though. I didn't miss it, but it was kind of cool. I know where they got it from. It was kind of like, we'll be the Allman Brothers a little bit over here with this harmony guitars and everything. Yeah.
Bruce, I was just wondering, I'm a drummer, and my first concert ever was Kiss during the Lick It Up tour.
Right.
And of course, Eric Carr. And since then, he's just inspired me to become a heavier hitter and everything. I was wondering, what's your recollection when you first met him? When did you first meet Eric Carr?
I was visiting once when they were doing Creatures, actually. I was in the studio, and I remember him being a little shy and a little kind of like, since he didn't really know me, he kind of was just a little, you know, not really friendly. Later on, there was obviously there were other times when I got to see him, and he was very, very, you know, very cool with me. You know, Eric was the funniest guy in the band, I'll tell you that. And he also was, in some ways, sadly, a tragic guy in the band, because he'd let it get him down, you know. And I remember touring in England. Well, yeah, we went first to England in '84. So my first gigs were in England of that European tour. And we're driving around in a limousine, you know, in the back seat with him, you know, usually two limos, Gene and Paul would get in one, or sometimes we'd split it up, but, you know, me and Eric would run, and he'd be like, you know, complaining about something, you know, and I'm like going, do you realize how lucky you are to have this gig? You know what I mean? Because I just came from, like, you know, struggling, you know, guitar player in New York. Yeah, I worked with some people, but, you know, I was like not really doing anything at the time when I got the opportunity to be writing Kiss. So that's cool. And you know, usually talking to him like that would make him, you know, kind of, you know, even out a little bit. But he did carry that around with him, and I know he loved nothing more than to be in Kiss, you know. But yet sometimes he just got really kind of like, you know, he'd pick at the things that they were valid, okay, but you know, got a choice. You look at the glass half empty or half full. And I admit I go over the line sometimes too, and I'm in the wrong part of that conversation there, but you know, he did that a bit, you get what I mean? So, but it never affected how he felt about the fans, and it never affected how he felt about being professional and performing. You know, he loved doing it, and he you know, just loved playing drums, and couldn't put enough of him on stage, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
What's your brother Bob up to these days?
Bob's still working on, you know, some tribute records. He's done some really great quality ones. That's been doing great. In fact, he's working on a Kiss one right now that's going to be really terrific. And, you know, he did work with Jack Russell about a year ago, you know, and that whole terrible tragedy, the fire thing came out. It was really weird. I was happened to be, you know, in Hawaii. It kind of ruined my holiday, because I know that those fans are my fans too. You know, people like Great White, the Kiss fans, the Union fans. I played that club. And then all of a sudden there's like pictures on CNN of here's the band, and it was wrong, because it wasn't the Great White band. It was the band that recorded Jack White's, you know, solo record. You know, people calling me up. You know, your mom knows that your brother wasn't there, right? And I was like, hey, yeah, you know, that kind of thing. But so he's staying busy. He didn't need that publicity. I know he wound up in Rolling Stone in the article on the Great White fire. You know, because they were talking about Jack Russell's rather. I'm not sorry. I called him Jack White before. Might be a better name now. Maybe he should change his name, you know. But that was really a horrible thing, and I hope Mr. Speed doesn't have any pyro or anything. I have a new rule. I'm not going to do a convention if a band has pyro, you know what I mean? No, because just so you guys know, I know this is off on a different point, but really, whenever Kiss did the pyro, and really, one time I almost walked right into a flash pot thing, you know, one of those things, because I forgot it was there. But everything's done very, very professionally, and everything is the fire marshal. You know, there's insurance, and there's a proper, you know, preparing. And these people have been doing it in clubs. Even if you love Kiss, and just because, you know, you feel like, oh, I got to be like them, and we're in some little club or even, you know, any kind of hotel, you know, and you start lighting off that stuff, you know, you should be taken to jail, you know, even if you didn't burn down the place, you know. But that was such a horrible thing, and it's touched a lot of people's lives in the whole, you know, music community. It's very sad. Anyway, yeah. Yes?
When will your book be released?
The infamous book, yes. I want everybody to understand, I didn't give up on the book. The guy that's writing it with me, this guy Ken, he's in the business. He's a professional industry guy. He happens to he had a very, very good job for a while over at the label called Loud, which was doing a lot of rap stuff. He's one of the biggest Kiss fans that you can ever meet, by the way, and collectors. And a personal friend of mine for many years. And then for a while, you know, he was changing jobs, so he was able to make some progress, and then I was a little too busy, okay? Now he just got another job a little while back ago that's real important, Warner Brothers, something records in the city, you know, in Manhattan. I mean, he's one of those guys, and that's very demanding. And I'm busy, you know what I mean? So the passion's there, the desire's there. I just know that I can't really give a date. I'd like to think that we can make a lot of headway with it this year, you know, especially once things calm down with my summer and me selling Transformer and getting the word out there that I have a solo record, which I spent my own money on, you know what I mean? I could have bought a car, but I made Transformer, you know what I mean? And hopefully next year I can get this out. And I want to make it really good. It's going to be a fun book. There's a lot of, already some of the stuff is just, I think we have some really unique things in it, and there's just so much I could cover, and I'll probably wind up just self-publishing it. You know, because this way I could really be freer. I know that the big publishers, I've had lawyers talk to me, and we've taken meetings, and most of them want like the ugliest stuff and the darkest, trashiest, you know. Well, even if you don't know if Paul's gay, say he's gay. You know, those kind of conversations. You know what I mean? And that's not my style. I think you guys know that, okay? And that's not the angle that I would go with a book. You know, I have too much respect for those guys. Although I want to talk about my experiences, you know, but it's not meant to be, you know, like the guy who wrote the book that he hated Ace. So, you know, the book was obvious he hated Ace, okay? So, you know, in that way, I think self-publishing would be the easiest way to just do what I want to do instead of compromising my own integrity over the whole idea. So, but be patient. It'll be worked on. You know, music's more fun to me than the written word kind of thing, but it will be a good story.
Hey, you just touched on this a little bit, what you were just saying, but I was just wondering, being a rock star and coming up in the 80s and stuff, I was just wondering how you dealt with like the temptations of the road and whatnot, and maybe you could give us something that happened.
Okay, yes, yeah, I get you. Okay. Well, first of all, we do have a family crowd here, but I will explain. I had fun, when I first joined the band. First of all, I was just happy to be there, okay? And I wasn't in a relationship at the time, but I wasn't really even, it wasn't my priority, to get too wild. By the second year, I figured it's time to have some fun, and obviously if you're in a rock band touring, especially back then, that was even pre-AIDS, okay? Everybody was like doing whatever you want, and you didn't have to get so stressed about who your partners were in your life, But I was still pretty discreet, I felt, okay? And then of course, many of you know I was married for many of the Kiss years actually, and once I was in a real committed relationship with the woman Christina, who became my wife, I did not, the temptation was there, but I didn't do anything. I was faithful to her because that's the kind of person I am. Maybe I was an idiot because I'm not married, but but no, I don't regret it. It just was the right thing at the time, but yeah, it's always there. I know guys who play just like weekend clubs, okay, in the rock bands, and they have too many women they could ever juggle, okay. But that wasn't what it was about for me. Do I flirt? Do I like the women? Do I like the attention? Of course. But for me, the music was always the calling card. I know, Gene likes to say, you always get in the band just to meet the girls, and for me, it was like I didn't know what else to do, and it'd be great to meet the girls too, but it wasn't the only reason to do it, So just a short form answer to your question, it's always there for you if you're in a rock band and everything. It's just, you make your choices. Unfortunately, I don't have any little kids running around with my last name or claiming to be my child, because I've been smart about who I choose to hang out with, So I've only been scratched a few times, let's put it that way, instead of really wounded.
Could you tell us about your first recording experience with Kiss, and then what Carnival Souls recording time frame was like? What was going on during that period?
Well, the first one was, let's not count Animalize. The Silent was the first official album. We worked really hard. I mean, he had me in the studio between Gene and Paul one time. I remember counting like 21 days in a row. Supposedly God gave one of those weekend days off for everybody, right? Depending on what religion, Saturday or Sunday. I just was like, ugh, I was tired from it all. But, I was excited too. Here I am recording at Electric Lady in Lower Manhattan in Greenwich Village. Being a New Yorker, that's real exciting. I'm here with Kiss, this is great. So, and it was a kind of cool scene going on down there then. I don't think it is quite the same anymore, but now fast forward to Carnival Souls. That was kind of really weird because we were writing for a long time, demoing stuff. Like Within was one of the demos, which of course wound up on Psycho Circus. But we were working for quite a while, and then nothing. I'm like, hello, Gene, when are we recording? What's going on? I didn't realize they were also kind of talking to Ace and Peter, because this was post Unplugged performance, which was end of August of that year, right? And they're probably thinking in their mind, well, why would we record if we're going to do a reunion tour? Meanwhile, we already started doing demos. Money was already spent by the record company for us to go record the album, you see. So Gene was like, yeah, we'll book it. You know what I mean? I'm like, that was weird, but I didn't put two and two together yet, because he's very ambitious usually. But think of the brilliance of us recording while they're still negotiating with Ace and Peter to try to figure out if they could do a reunion tour. Meaning, if one of them got crazy, Ace or Peter, well, we still have Eric and Bruce, and we're doing a record, and we're going to go out. You know what I mean? Hang that over their heads, you see? And this is why, of course, we finished that record. Eric and I were told about the reunion tour halfway through the mixing of the album, which is really the final, final kind of yard of your goal to get the thing done. And then the next thing you know, the record doesn't come out for forever, and almost forever. And there's many bootlegs out there, which really hurt, because I wrote a lot of the songs and the quality was really awful. And people were asking me, sign my Carnival Souls bootleg. In fact, the fans named that album. It was never called Carnival Souls. We didn't know what it was going to be called. Some fan called the bootleg Carnival Souls, and it became the title. There was a song that Gene wrote that we were demoing, but we didn't actually even record it. You know what I mean? Which was kind of cool. So that album's like the best official bootleg we've ever done, if you know what I mean. And that's why it looks that way. So don't have anybody ask me, why does it look like it was just like kind of put together, thrown out there? Well, that was the idea. I know Ace and Peter didn't want it to come out, and they had no say about it. The record company paid for it. You don't want it to come out? Give us back the money. that wasn't going to happen, okay? So I'm really glad it came out, although there was a time I felt so low and rejected and lost from what happened that I never thought it would come out. So I was really pleased when it did make it. And I continue to do songs from that album, of course, like Jungle and I Walk Alone, and in Australia I've performed, in Europe, Master and Slave. You know, that's kind of fun. I mean, some good songs on that record. And if you don't like it because it's too heavy, don't blame me. I came up with riffs. If you love it, great, you can thank me, but it's not my fault, any of it, if you didn't like it.
Yeah, I was just curious if it was your choice or Kiss's as far as you or Eric Carr not singing more.
Well, Gene and Paul are very dominant through the years. First of all, my voice, Eric Carr has a great voice. Mine doesn't compare, but and that's really a tragedy that they didn't let Eric Carr sing more on the Kiss albums. Talk about him bitching about things and the glass half empty or half full, right? Very naturally. If you listen to Rockology, that album, which I'm sure you can find here if you don't already have it, that first song, or it's the first couple of songs, I mean, they should have been on a Kiss album,
Oh yeah.
So that's Gene and Paul's ego. And they do it to Ace and Peter too. So it's not like, I'm kind of glad I wasn't so comfortable with singing and everything, because if I was, I would have been more frustrated. You see what I mean? So that's why I'm kind of getting it all out now, and completely doing it the way I want, and keeping the integrity to what I feel is important, and just saying what I want to say, and I'm not being controlled by anybody or anything, just my own talent, So that's why I'm very, very, very happy to get those things done and out there and have you guys enjoy it. But that's the frustration, and that's why I took a lot of, even though it was bittersweet putting it together, that Rockology record was hard to go through all those tapes and listen to that stuff. It was kind of sad, but it all turned out good. Someone was able to fund it, and we got it in the stores, and now you fans have whatever's left over of what Eric wrote during those Kiss years, which was I was really happy to get done.
Yeah, do you have any more plans of doing stuff like Rockology or Tell the Fox, stuff you and Eric worked on together?
I don't think there's anything else left, okay? The video is great. The DVD's even better than the video, of course. But, if the family has anything else, it would be really old stuff, you know what I mean? Which I don't have any interest or control in, Eric was clear in his will that a lot of the stuff during the Kiss years he wanted me to take care of, okay? So I spearheaded, getting that done, okay? But I don't really think there's much else, I mean, I'm not saying that fans don't have some great footage of Eric, or there couldn't be more footage of him put out there, but not that I'm really aware of, Ready to go?
Sorry, Bruce. I was talking to Michelle. Anybody got any questions? Oh, got one back here.
Hi, Bruce. Way back here.
How's it going?
Big Kiss fan, big Union fan. I was just wondering, is there ever going to be a Bruce Kulick Grand Funk studio album?
Well, that's a good question. I really do think, and I can't say if it will be for sure this year, but there'll be a live CD and or DVD of Grand Funk performing with me in it, doing the classic songs that make up our show. But for example, there's a song called "Who Took Down the Stars" that I wrote with the singer Max. We do it most of the time when we get the full show. There's a couple other new things that we've been adding into the set. Great new song that Max wrote called "Bottle Rocket." That's really cool. So I hope we will. Now, one thing about Grand Funk is I don't control it. If I say to you guys, "Hey, I'm working on my solo record, it'll be out in April," pretty much it's going to be out in April because it's my thing. My money, my drive. I can't force Don and Mel and everyone to be sure that they, are going to get it out. But we have really talked about that a lot, and we do plan on getting that. And I'm hoping we can get it done this year, actually, so we can be out. Because I know it would sell really well. I really do feel, even if the band just sold it itself instead of going through a label, because more and more people are doing that now. Just doing it themselves. Okay. Yeah, and we'll try to come to India. The closest we got was Muncie, I think, last year. It was a cool gig with a little river band. It was fun. Eric actually came to the show too.
I'm a big fan of Eric Singer. What can you tell me about him that most people might not know? What kind of a person is he?
Well, he loves cars a lot. Every Christmas I'll find like a car book for him, especially the old like muscle cars, the 70s. I remember, and convertibles too, which I'm not a big fan of. But and it's funny too. I remember one time him taking me to rehearsal, and we both live in Los Angeles, of course, and it gets really hot in the summer. and we're in one of his, you know, muscle cars. There's no air conditioning, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, the heat's blowing through the thing. I'm going, oh yeah, this is really cool, you know? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it is a cool car, but I'm just like, come on, I just want the window shut, you know, I want to be in my own little, you know, bat cave, you know, keep it cool. I don't want to bother. I want to be in a cozy sedan, you know, very comfortable. So he likes those kind of cars though. And well, he posed with one of his cars. I think there was a Pearl ad or something. Was it Pearl or Zildjian? There was an ad where he's got the car behind him or something. You know, I forget which drum associated product it was, but yeah. So there you go. That's something. I'm not going to say anything personal, you know, but that's stuff.
All right.
Okay. Hi.
Hey, huge Eric Carr fan. And on your Kiss Confidential video, which I tortured my roommates to hell with, Gene talked about Eric kind of being a prankster.
Yes.
Did he ever do anything to you?
No, I mean, it was much better to do something to them. You know, because, you know, get the boss kind of thing, you know. There was, he did some funny drawings though. I saved one of them that I really liked, where he drew everybody in the band, and because I injured my elbow one year, you know, he had a little like thing on it and goes elbow, you know, just showing that it was, you know, but I'm like a little stick with a little like boop over here, you know. Gene had like a little spare tire because he was heavy at the time, you know. I forget what it was about. Oh, Paul gave him a real V shape, you know, like a model, you know, kind of thing or something. And then he drew him and he made fun of himself too. I forget what he, probably the hair, you know, so big like the Rockettes, you know. But a great sense of humor, and another prank. He drew a picture of me. There used to be this ad that we'd see on planes sometimes inside the you know, the magazine for the airline, where there was this big giraffe. So he drew my head on top of the giraffe, you know, because I'm so tall, you know. And he called me, you know, he wrote Jeffrey the Giraffe, you know, that kind of thing. So the only pranks again were more art type pranks. Not he didn't you know, put the shaving cream on the doorknob thing or any of that kind of stuff to me.
Bruce.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, when you were playing, what can you remember that stands out most in your mind about maybe a technical difficulty that you and the rest of the guys just played through until it was fixed, or, you know?
You know, sometimes the monitors would be really bad, but most of the time, I gotta admit, we used to get through the shows pretty well. We had a power failure once. We had to not play, you know, I mean, the show ended. You know, that was it. They couldn't get it going again. Couldn't get the generator going, whatever, you know. And we had to make up the date. I forget where that was. It might have been Pittsburgh even or something. Yeah. Wow. I mean, you know, I once ran into Gene coming off stage. That's no fun. That's not exactly a technical snafu, but man, it hurt, you know. And you guys know the story about the time they left me out there. I was doing a solo, and you saw, I don't think I had my own solo where I'd stand out there and solo. And then, you know, at a certain point, I reached my kind of the climax of the solo. It's the end. Okay, guys, yeah, Bruce Kulick, yeah, lead guitar. They don't come out, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, and I'm playing, and that's where, if you ever see the picture where I grab Gene's bass and I put it on or something, there's a picture of that. Because I was just like, what are you doing to me? But that was their little prank on me. Thanks a lot, guys. I should have just sat down and just crossed my arms like this, like Gene. You know, whatever. Yeah. Maybe the fans would have loved that, but you know, that's not my personality, you know, I didn't know what to do, but, you know.
I got a question for the fans. Who was here for the Deer Creek show back in 1990? You guys remember that? Do you remember that, Bruce? It was a thunderstorm.
There was a thunderstorm. What happened?
It just flooded. I mean, people were sliding down the grassy area. You remember that?
I was on the cover, so I didn't realize.
Does anybody have any other questions? I think we've got them all, unless we got a few more here.
You were talking about Eric drawing funny pictures earlier. I was wondering, he did that Rockheads cartoon thing, and I read somewhere that you were going to try to continue that and get it going. Anything going on with that?
No, I mean, I did make some contacts, and there were some people interested, and then you know, the corporate world's really crazy because you need a lot of money to invest to do a project like that. Animation, even if it's as crude as South Park looking, it's very, very expensive. I mean, I'm talking about like, you know, like 5 minutes can cost $100,000, you know, and it's a lot of money to ask somebody, hey, come up with this, you don't have a deal yet, you know. So ultimately, the guys that would be interested, then they're not at that company anymore. You know what I mean? Gene shopped it for a while too, as a favor to Eric, you know. And you know, Gene's got great connections in the business world, and he couldn't get it going either. So I don't want anyone to think it wasn't a valid, great idea. And to be quite honest, I don't have the time or the energy to put into it, nor the money. If I was, you know, Bill Gates, no problem. There'll be a Rockettes TV show, okay, somehow. You know what I mean? But I just don't have all that available to get that happening. So, but it doesn't mean that sometime in the future, you know, something couldn't happen with it. You know, it isn't completely lost. But I just know that I have not been active about it, and I just can't. You know.
Out of all the bands that you've
The
worked
first
with,
female question. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
out of all the bands that you've worked with, which one do you like working with the best?
Well, you know, each group did have its thing about it. You know, I hate to single out one. I certainly, you know, there's no bigger thrill than you know, selling out arenas and playing with Kiss and the reaction from the crowd. Just, you know, when you're ready to throw a pick and you see what they do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Professionally speaking, of course, Grand Funk right now is very rewarding for me because I love the way the guys just we love the music. We're there, you know, really having a good time on the road in a very, you know, normal way. And but you know, I'd say mostly those two things. Union was very frustrating, though rewarding at times. Okay.
Now, is there something in particular you liked about every band that you may have used on your own?
Well, I learned from every band, of course. You know, I learned a lot. I remember Michael Bolton being extremely ambitious, and we always used to talk about priorities and things like that. And he taught me, you know, and everybody should learn that too in your life. You know, you need to have certain priorities as to what's going to get you from, you know, step A to B, and so on. So, and you know, we talk about business and Gene and Paul and how hard and sometimes very smart and sometimes just very ruthless that they work. You know, you learn something from that, even if it's not what you choose to want to do. You learn from it, you know. So yeah, I've taken something from every experience. You learn something from, just like every relationship.
So, what would you say you learned the best out of Grand Funk?
Out of Grand Funk, you know, I like the camaraderie of it. Okay, like before we show, we always do like a little huddle thing with our hands in the center, and that's not something. I know you saw that on some reunion video that Doc McGee made them do. Believe me, okay? Because these guys do not love each other, okay? But I can honestly say that when Grand Funk, when we all put the hands, oh, come on, we're here, let's make them rock, let's get them going, you know what I mean? I like that, okay? And I like the fact that, you know, I don't see the guys for a week or two, or sometimes longer, or whatever, and we meet at the, you know, hotel or something, I can give them a hug, and I mean it, you know what I mean? I don't get hugs from Gene and Paul, okay? Gene occasionally, he's a huggy kind of guy sometimes. But you know what I mean, that kind of thing's nice, you know, very family oriented.
Were you ever able to teach Paul and Ace guitar parts at all?
You know, I didn't have to do any of that really. I mean, at times I bring up things about why are we doing it, why aren't we tuning down? You know, there was a period of time when Kiss played in a half step down, and then they tuned back up when I first joined the band. I'm like, why are we in 440? You know, why don't we tune back down? You know, stuff like that. And I think there was one tour when we were learning some of the old songs that Eric and I noticed that Paul wasn't playing what he played, and we really listened to the tapes a few more times to figure it out. I mean, I have to figure out my own stuff too sometimes. It's hard, you know, to remember what you played in the studio or what happened. And so there were just little things. But if I don't know, you might have missed it earlier. I know Tommy Day helped Ace with you know, the tour and the reunion tour. So yeah, no, but you know, everyone's there to help each other. That's important.
Got one more. With Gene talking about maybe bringing Simmons Records back, have you talked to him at all about maybe trying to get your solo album produced through that?
Well, I'm not interested in being on Gene's record, and he's not interested in having me. He wants bands that are probably no older than 25 years old to be involved with his label, and that might be a stretch. I did send him my record, of course, you know, because I wanted to show him what I did, and he called me, and he really gave me, you know, big thumbs up. He loved the packaging, liked the music a lot. We talked about some of the songs, and he was really impressed. Gene's the kind of guy to recognize the motivation and the amount of work in starting something from just things you're hearing in your head to a little tape recorder to ultimately, you know, a disc that you take home that makes you feel good listening to it, you know, and he's got it, you know, and he you know, for both records, he did the same for me with Audio Dog, but I think he noticed, he made some comments about how he sees me, the development, you know, especially with my voice and all, and was really, really happy for me, you know, for doing it. But it doesn't mean I don't want to be on any label. I want to just sell this thing myself. And I'm not, the way the world's set up out there right now, that makes the most sense. That's why people like Prince are selling, he's selling his own records, you know, he's not on a label. He's on his own label. Major label, you know, he's on his own thing. A lot of people are doing that now. All right, so
you want to take one more, Bruce?
I'll take one more.
We need to get you ready for your guitar clinic.
Yeah, and then you'll have to be patient and watch me be a roadie.
Anybody got one more for Bruce? One closing one? Oh, here we go.
How old were you when you first fell in love with the guitar, and what did your parents think of you and your brother in the business?
Well, I'll do the second one first. My parents were always supportive, thankfully. You know, I was very happy about that. There was a lot of music in the family, so they understood the drive to want to do something, and the fact that we've been successful with it is really a big treat, of course. Regarding, I've probably seen the Beatles, much like Gene and Paul and many people around my age. That just changed my life, and realized I think I'd like to play guitar, you know. And it came natural to me, so I was fortunate, you know. All right, so let me take a break now, and you guys can mill around or hang. It doesn't matter. I need to set up and do a few things here. I didn't get a chance to sound check, you know, so we'll have a little live sound check when I'm ready. But I want to play a couple of the new things. You know, I'll kind of show you the kind of clinic thing that I, you know, have been doing the past couple of weeks. We'll do some of that kind of stuff, and but it's gonna take a little bit. So if you need to go potty,
everybody give Bruce a hand.
Thank you.